Welcome to the Digital Heart Business Podcast for successful entrepreneurs with heart. My name is Claus-Stefan. I am digital business mentor, founder and CEO of the ISTD GmbH, and I would like to inspire you on your way from an offline coach to an online coach. I'm so honored and happy to have in my episode number 55 Dr. Roy Martina again as my guest. He's an author and quantum trainer. And we already did a podcast interview before, so this is part 2. And our topic is how can we receive actionable information from the quantum field. Dear Roy, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. My main background is in holistic medicine. I've been in practice since 1980, and it's always been my guideline for my own life to understand how the body works. My saying is, when we are born, we didn't get the manual.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know how to deal with our bodies. We don't know the power of our bodies. We have no idea what we're capable of. And I see myself as a researcher in finding out these things and to practice on myself. So I always test out different things, crazy stuff. When I discovered that we can live without food and water, I went crazy because as a doctor, I don't believe that. So I had to figure it out. So I lived for 6 months without any drinking and food. And I survived, which was amazing. And in that period, when you live purely from light, purely from prana, actually purely from love, you experience what it is that is love, number one. You experience that you are love. And the only reason I stopped in that time was that I was not able to shut it off. I could not shut off the information from the quantum field. If I would meet you, I would know everything about you, your past lives, what's going on, your thoughts, and I couldn't switch it off. So that's the reason I stopped. And I did many other things. And I think maybe in 1 or 2 years, I'm ready to go back, because also learning to channeling has been part of my journey to learn how to be able to switch on off, switch on off. It's like a radio. So that's what I'm mastering. And besides, let's say my research into the quantum science and how we can apply that now for our health, but also for our success. And then when we're going to talk about channeling is just one way for us that we can connect to the field. And because we've been doing 10 years of research, we discovered new things that we have not found other people are doing the same thing. So it's not that it doesn't exist, it's just that when you're connected to the quantum field, you get new information that may be different from what we know from our teachers, from gurus, from books, and stuff like that. We discovered so many different things. Let just give an example, like fairy tales, talking about elves. We grow up to believe there are no elves. There are elves, there are fairies. And when you channel with them, they introduce you into the world, and it's fascinating. There are magical worlds we have no idea of. So I'm a very excited student of life. For me, every day is a new day for study and connecting with people. And most important, to discover who we are and who we can become who we are. Because knowing who you are does not mean that you are who you are. You know what I'm saying? It's a big struggle to know who you can be and then where you are. So that gap is the gap we come into this life to close. So everybody, once they discover who they are, they understand they are away from that. And your job is to close the gap until you become who you really are. And that's a fascinating journey. And I'm in this journey myself. And all the discoveries that we make, we share with others so that we can keep on stimulating more people to become the best version of themselves. That's our main mission in life right now.
Okay. And how did you discover that it is even possible to receive actionable information? You were telling me you receive some information, but actionable information means really something valuable which you can implement step by step. How did you discover that?
First of all, you need to understand that most channeling as we know it, the most famous form of channeling is vocal channeling. Someone sits, they close their eyes, and some light being talks to us, right? But it's not from that person. It's definitely another intelligence speaking using the vocal cords of the channeler. That's the normal way of channeling. And when you look around, you will see that most of these channelers are and they're the beings that go to bring these messages of love, of hope, how we need to treat each other, and you know those kind of things, how to solve conflicts. But it is not always practical for a person. Like okay, so we wanted to have a form of channeling when we discover it that we can ask very specific questions. If my car, for example, if I hear a rattling sound in my car, what do I do? Well, I said, Joy, can you channel for me for a moment? Then we channel with a expert on cars, not with Jesus, because if you channel with Jesus, Jesus will tell you, love your car, be nice to your car, which may work, but my belief system is a little bit different. I want to know, okay, what's the problem? How do we fix it? So Joy will channel, and for example, the one expert we work with on cars is Henry T. Ford. So let me give you an example. At some point, I wanted to buy a new car, and at that time, there was this car called Fisker Karma, the first hybrid car, which was really interesting. And I was in love with that car because it looked very, very nice. And my second love was the Porsche Panamera, which that was the second choice. So I asked Joy, okay, let's channel. I want to have feedback on what is the best car to buy. Okay, so we got Henry T. Ford, okay, the expert. And the first thing he said, don't buy the Fisker Karma because there will be trouble with the company and you will not get parts. Then he said, don't buy the Porsche either. I said, why not? Because he said the Porsche doesn't have a good enough filter to get out the very fine parts of, you know, what the trucks make from the diesel. He said, wait a few years till we come out the car with the best filtration system. So that was Tesla Model X. Can you imagine 4 years before Tesla Model X even existed, we already get information that the Tesla, we didn't know the name, but that a car will come that's specific. And even more things. We had another problem with our house where there was something leaking. And then we get the plumber to come, they check everything, they cannot find anything. Well, then we channel and we ask, okay, where is the leak? And they will give you specific information on the leak. One of the biggest things that we had, the biggest impact on our life was the following. Our daughter Grace was getting nightmares about the house burning down. And we take these things very seriously because we know that she's very gifted, and that when she gets information like that, we go and channel. And they told us, you need to change the roof. Now we had to change the roof into a hurricane-proof roof. Now you must know, in where we live, there are never hurricanes. They had to special order it. The second thing you need to know, our roof was perfect. There was nothing wrong with our roof. So the guy we hired to change the roof, he said, we're crazy. He said, well, why do you want the hurricane proof? There's no hurricane and your roof is perfect. So he believed we were hippies with too much money. Okay, so, but he did it, of course. And the roof was almost finished, it was just a few more days. Then a thunderstorm came over Asheville. And on a property, we had over 100 lightnings. And one of these lightnings went through the chimney into the living room. Joy and I were in China, and Grace, what was her grandmother, and that is big fireball in the house that lasts a few seconds and went away. And the next day, the guy who was building the roof said, if you guys had not changed the roof, your house would have burned down. So understand this. So you see something in the future coming, and it does not mean that this is the future you have to follow, because you get no information. And then when you have the actionable information, you practically can change the future, because now you go to what we call in quantum science to another timeline, that where the house will not burn down. And that makes this form of channeling very practical. Of course, most people want to know things like your soul mission or things like that. But for example, Joy also advises companies who to hire. So if they have 10 people, who will be the best candidate and why? And for how long? Do you
Mhm.
understand that? So that's very practical for a business person to know, but also to know where to invest. What is a good
Mhm.
investment? That's also practical information. And the last information we got at some point was that we had to move from America. So we were like not ready for that, because you don't always get information that you like. Okay. You sometimes get information you totally don't like, and that's why it's so important to build up trust,
Mhm.
because you need to have the trust. If they say go to the left, you're not going to have a discussion why you go to the left, right? And in time, that's the most valuable thing that you have, because the more trust you have, the more information you get.
Mhm.
And this is also part of the training we have created, so that people develop the trust, and also learn how to ask questions to get actionable information, not only for themselves, but also for their clients. Can you
Mhm.
imagine if you're a coach, and then you're during the coaching, you know which questions to ask that may not even be related to the story that the client is telling you. So you can ask questions that are strange, but then you will discover that it's leading you to
Mhm.
the cause, it's leading you to the why, it's leading you to the solutions of the problems.
Mhm.
And so I believe channeling is good for everyone. It's not only for people on a spiritual pathway, it is very good for entrepreneurs, it's very good for coaches, it's very good for healers, it's every good. Actually, I believe the following: we all are born with the capacity to channel. Just like a computer has a lot of features that we may or may not use. But because of our environment, we lose that power. It's like a muscle that is never used. And what happens is a physical law of the body. If you don't use something, you lose the
Mhm.
power. You lose, if it's a muscle or an organ, it will become dysfunctional. But if it's a skill set, an ability to receive information, if it's not used, then you need to be retrain yourself. It will be the same if you would never walk. You just like a baby, you decide, I will never walk, I'm just going to sit. And then when you're 15, you decide, no, I want to walk. So now we have to train, you have to train yourself, you know, falling, getting up may take a year before you can actually walk. This makes sense? So that's the same with channeling. We need at least 100 days to
Mhm.
train you again, to get back the skill sets that you have. And everybody will have a different specialty. Some people are lucky, they have different channels, they have visuals, they have auditory, they have kinesthetic, they have what's also clear knowing, they may have clear dreaming, they may have automatic writing, and so on and so on. So but some people have one specialty. My biggest specialty is I can hear, so I can talk with guides. Other Joy's specialty is she can channel vocally,
Mhm.
and she sees visuals, and she gets visions and information constantly, and I get more a voice that will tell me, okay, this is this and that. So it's for everyone a little bit different, but it's fascinating. Everybody can
Mhm.
learn it. There are no exceptions.
And is there a kind of level? So is it easier, for example, to channel where is the leak in the house than to channel what is coming in 4 years? Or
Yeah.
would
No,
you
it's
say it's the
not.
same?
No, it's not a matter what's easier, because once the channel is open,
Mhm.
you can ask any
Okay.
question that you want. So, for example, another channel for me is automatic writing. So I can just take a pen and paper, and they can dictate the letter. That's one way, or they can use my hand to write. So, imagine, for so many people, they may have messages for the world. There are many books still to be written, and people may say, oh, I'm not an author, I don't know how to write. But if you learn how to channel, they can use you. What is greater to have a super intelligent being using you for writing a book, then you can put your name on it, or to make music, or to create a movie, or to paint, you see? So you claim it to be yours, but you're allowing your body to be used by maybe your higher self
Mhm.
or another light being that wants to use you and bring their message to the world. And that's fascinating.
Okay. And another question, why is it so important to raise our life force before channeling?
When we talk about raising your life force, we're talking about two things. We're talking about energy in the quantity of energy,
Mhm.
and we talk about the quality of energy. So, for example, a lot of people have certain habits. They eat a lot of meat. They don't eat a lot of vegetables, and that creates what we call a low frequency, a low vibration. And for them, it's more difficult to channel because the vibrations are too much into the earth sphere. It's too much 3D. I'm not saying that you cannot eat meat and channel. I'm just saying that for some people, the way they live, they have either low energy level or low vibrational energy, and we need to raise both. We need because when you're going to be channeling, it costs energy. And so when someone is using you, it's like having electricity in your body. And yes, some people may channel and be tired after channeling, but the goal is that after you channel, that you have better energy.
Mhm.
And anytime you channel a high being frequency, it is also healing for you. So
Mhm.
because that energy is vibrating inside of you. I remember in the beginning, Joy would get very hot because the frequency was so high. As her frequencies got better, and the way the frequencies got better was, for example, to that, and we do this in the course as well. We use special techniques
Mhm.
to work on your traumas. We burn your karma. And when I say karma, the word karma, I don't use it in a spiritual way. For me, karma is just heavy energy that you're carrying with you. I'm not qualifying it in what kind of energy is. Anything that is heavy, low energy is karmic energy. And when you remove the karmic energy, you automatically your frequency go up. And some people, when we do the karma burning, they get images of past lives where things happened to them or they did certain things. So for some people it can be quite an intense process. And the second thing is that you need to understand that the most important organ for channeling and our connection to our essential self, to the quantum field, to our higher self, is the organ called pineal gland. And the pineal gland is a very important organ in the body because it helps us to have a day and night rhythm. So it regulates to for our body to adapt to day and night. That's what most people know it for. But it's much more than that. For example, now in this whole pandemic, they discovered that the hormone created by the pineal gland, melatonin, will help us to be more resistant to viruses because it has a higher frequency. You see, and if your frequency is higher, then a low frequency virus
Mhm.
cannot live in your body. So the pineal gland often, and this is a huge problem we're facing, is being attacked by chemicals, heavy metals. And that's one of the reasons also why I am against vaccination. Not that the principle is not okay, but with vaccinations, they often add certain ingredients that attack the pineal gland. Now, if I would believe in conspiracies, I would say it is almost like they want us not to be connected with our highest self. It's like they don't want us to have intuition. It is like they don't want us to be so sensitive that we can feel what is dark energy and what's not dark energy. Now,
Mhm.
I don't believe in conspiracy, but I can tell you that it looks like one.
Yeah. One thing, what about safety? You mentioned that joy is getting really hot in the body
Mhm.
while channeling. Are there some safety measures which the people should
Okay.
know or take care of before channeling or during the channeling session?
Now, number one, everything is in the course. The point is that when people begin to open up to information, they bring in a baggage. Okay, they bring in the baggage from the past. They bring, so as I said, heavy energies. They bring in unresolved conflicts. They bring in anger. They bring in fear. And when we look at the emotional stuff in people, we can say the two most important two forces in emotions, anger and fear. Anger, we all are born with anger. We all have anger. But the anger is a power that can be used to change things. If we get angry enough about something, we can change something, right? So we need, it's a power we need. Fear is something that can be life-saving. If the fear is correct fear, if the fear is a fear of an illusion, it is bad. And so what we need to learn is that the biggest threat to ourselves is not outside of ourselves. It is inside ourselves. So we need to learn to manage these things. The second thing is that outside of ourselves in the field, a lot of people are afraid that maybe some bad energy will come into them, which is impossible. The moment because this training has been created together with light beings. And the first thing they do that when you come into this training, automatically you're protected. So just by participating in the training, there's nothing to worry about because on the other side, they want people to get their power back. So that's one thing. The second thing that happens during the karma burning, we're removing all negative energies as well. And the third thing is that you learn from the beginning, what is your intention and who do you want to channel with? And we have as a rule, we only channel with beings that serve the light and serve humanity and support us. Everything else we close off. So we teach people how to close off anything. It is like a radio station. To certain radio station, if you don't like heavy metal music, you don't turn your radio on heavy metal music, right? So you want to know which channels are you turning yourself into. And so this part of the course is number one, you are protected just by beginning with the course immediately. Number two, you are being cleansed from negative energy because negative energy can attract negative energy. And number three, you're working with pure intentions. We teach you how to work with the intention so that you only allow the beings that are serving the light and wanting to help humanity, that they will be able to work with you. And of course, we have your loved ones, your ancestors, all of those beings that are part of your makeup, but they all, I mean, there might be some exceptions, but most of them will be serving, the family. They want the family to grow. And what's beautiful is that each family has a protector, and you can work with the protector of the family and get information of your ancestors, which is really, really beautiful. My parents both are gone, but they're still in touch with me. Anytime they want to give me a message, they will give me the message. And it's so beautiful to hear your mother give you a message. My mother is almost always the same message. She always tells me how proud she is of me, and she is so happy that I'm doing this work for so many people. But it's nice to hear these messages from your loved ones as well.
That's amazing. And in the course, there's one tool that is used, that is tapping. Can you please explain a little bit more about the power of
Yeah,
tapping and why you're
right.
using this in the course?
Yeah. So what you need to understand is I'm trained acupuncturist. So what was it? I started as an acupuncturist and a homeopath and nutrition. And when I was working with acupuncture, people would come 1 to 3, 4 times a week, depending on the problem. Okay. Then I moved from Holland back to my island, and I was confronted with a lot of people who had no money. They would save months to come for one visit, and then they would have to save again for months to come for another visit. So what I decided to do is to teach them acupressure. So that's how it all began. And what I discovered is the people I teach acupressure were getting much better results than the people coming to every week to get to get their needles. And the reason for that is that with tapping, that's the form of acupressure we're using, you can use it many times a day. And what people need to understand that acupuncture is the energy system of the body. And what they discovered over 6,000 years ago is that when we have unresolved emotions, this affects the energy flow. All right. So if you're angry and you don't resolve your anger, your meridian will be blocked or stagnated, will create problems. So the most of our problems begin on an energetic level. And the most of the problems in energetic level, first and most are emotions. So we discovered different things that with tapping, not only we can create balance, but we can help change beliefs. We can shift emotions. So when we start, for example, with fears, we teach people how to tap with fears. I can cure any phobia normally in 1 or 2 sessions. It's not magic. I can cure almost any severe allergy with tapping in 1 or 2 sessions. I can cure post-traumatic stress normally with 1 or 2 sessions of tapping. So from all the techniques I've learned and the techniques I've developed, the tapping is the most powerful technique. I can teach a person in less than 20 minutes, and they can do whatever they want. They can work on the phobias, they can work on their traumas, they can work on their emotions. And so there's another form of tapping called EFT that's very, very famous, but we work only with 5 points. We work with 5 points with specific affirmations, and then with the tapping, we then balance the chakras. Because what we need to see that the meridians from acupuncture are the emotional things. The chakras are the portals and connections between 3D and 5D. So for the chakras are related to the life lessons of this planet. So the tapping is for the emotions, yet for us to be in what we call equanimity, in a state of mind of peace. So we can, and when we're in a state of mind of peace, we are closer to our true essence. But then we all need to learn our life lessons. And that's where we use the chakras to connect again with our spirit essence. So when I say I am, that is the true I am is my spirit. So if I say I am love, that is true. I am power, that is true. I am let's say I am grateful for life. So when we say I am, we're connecting to our spirit. And with the chakra combination, tapping and the chakra balancing, we have a very powerful system. So even if a person, let's assume, would do 100 days of training, would never learn channeling, their life will still be 10 times better than before, right? But everybody will learn to channel, but it is not only about channeling. It's not about learning a technique. It is about coming back into your power. It's about finding your way. It's finding your path. So it's not like if you learn neurolinguistic programming, you're learning how to communicate and to understand that, which is great, but also dangerous, because if you don't learn how to deal with emotions, it's still not enough. But with channeling, it is the let's say the gift you get back is one thing, but the techniques that you get will change your life because it's a transformational process. And you can imagine, if you work 100 days on yourself, something must change. You cannot say after 100 days to me, look me in the eyes, say nothing changed. And I'm the same person like 100 days ago. Impossible. Maybe if you're an alien from another planet, maybe, but not if you're a human being. It is impossible. That I guarantee you.
Yeah, I can absolutely confirm. Let's say if you raise your life force and if you burn heavy energies out of your body system, that's definitely something that will help you to get a better health and to have a better physiology, to be also more successful. If you have a great energy field, the people want to work with you, and if you can leave anger and everything behind, life will be better. You can enjoy it more.
Absolutely. And the way you say it, I love it. And we talk when we talk about frequencies. So if your frequencies are higher, you're sending out higher frequencies. you will attract other people who are resonating with your frequencies. And this is not something you can think about because it happens in what we call in synchronicity. It happens like it's a coincidence, but it's not a coincidence. It is just all frequencies. You're tapping into higher frequencies, meaning you will attract things that belong to higher frequencies. But the most important thing that will change is feeling the happiness inside of you, is feeling the love inside of you, is feeling the gratitude inside of you. That in itself is life changing.
Yeah, I can also give a personal happening. So I really had a laugh attack. So normally panic attacks if you're blocked or something, and I several times I experienced like a laugh attack. I was just feeling love and happiness and pleasure and thankfulness, gratitude, have tears in my eyes. So it's crazy, and it's coming. You're not thinking, oh, now it comes. You're just doing anything, and suddenly you feel this, and it's really an amazing feeling if you experience this love attack.
Yeah, it's like a wave coming over you, and it's just a sign that you're opening yourself more in contact with your higher essence, your true essence. That because that's who you are
Yeah.
in principle, and that's beautiful to feel that, and to know, hey, wow, this is how it should be. That's
Yeah,
the best part.
that is the normal state. I think
Yeah,
we people, we should be happy and have a good life force and supportive to
absolutely.
others, and all other struggle is not normal. That's not
No,
a normal life, that you have to struggle and fight every day for your belongings or to
absolutely.
get further. That's not normal, I think.
Yeah, no, it's in this way. Yeah, the way I tell people, it's when you struggle, it means that there's something inside that needs to be looked at,
Mm.
right? And when out, you see, people tend to look outside and want to think that the problem is outside. Outside is the creation based on your past, and not all of your creation is happening on a conscious level. So a lot of things we create is happening on an unconscious level. So we're angry, and we're angry with life. So we create more situations that will be angry with life. So, but if we are, let's say, on a higher frequency where we feel more love, more gratitude, we will experience more things of love and gratitude. It is not, it's not philosophy. It is a physics law
Mm.
that the same frequency will attract the same frequency. So if people are struggling, also financially, it's very, very important. I had my times in the past where I struggled financially as well, like everybody else. I sabotaged my success and all those kind of things. These are the lessons we have to go through life and to change your conditioning. But once I understood that if you are connected to the universe, you're connected to abundance. And the most important thing, you don't worry anymore. And when you stop worrying, there's nothing to worry about. So you only get things not to worry about. And it flows, and new ideas come, the right people come into your life that will help you to make the next best step. So we have to open ourselves for synchronicity. And here's one thing that I did not discuss about channeling that's fascinating. You see, what's fascinating is that the universe is talking to you all the time, right? But most people don't see it because they think it's a coincidence. So for
Mm.
example, you may be sitting somewhere and then a bird comes and sits on your table, right? So for most people, it's like, oh, this is a lovely bird, come sit on the table. If it happens to me, I immediately go inside and say to my guys, what do you want to tell me? Because you see, that's how precise it is. Everything is orchestrated, everything is precise. So there is no coincidence. You do not get an accident by coincidence. Everything happens for a reason. And being able to channel, you can now find out the reasons
Mm.
of things that are happening. So I may be thinking about going on a TV program in Holland, and then I may be sitting in a restaurant and I see the guy from the TV program. Now, how is that possible, right? So then you can be shy and say, okay, I'm not going to talk to the guy. or I'm going to go over and talk to the guy. It happened to me
Mhm.
just a couple of months ago. I go into a hotel and I see this very famous, he knows me, a very famous guy. And we go, we have a drink, we're laughing. And of course, I get an invitation to this TV program. You see what I'm saying? So, and just 3 days before, I was thinking about this TV program. So it is that how the universe works.
Mhm.
And the other thing that's important that people understand is you are being manipulated. And I mean this in a good way. You get thoughts. You think that it is your thoughts, but these are not your thoughts. They implant these thoughts in your mind. And then you think about something. You say, oh, I need to do this. But it's not your thoughts. It is given to you. That's how it works. And once your pineal gland is open, then these things will happen in abundance in your life. And you will be guided in ways that you cannot even imagine.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit like breadcrumbs from the universe. They were
Exactly. Yes,
distributing the breadcrumbs in front of you, and you have two possibilities, either to follow
exactly.
them or just to ignore them. But I think it's
Exactly.
better to follow them, and
I can
if
tell
you
you,
get better at
yes,
it, you will realize once it's a
absolutely.
coincidence or once it's a
Yes,
synchronicity.
absolutely. I'm following the breadcrumbs every day. And but it gives you a life with more grace, ease, and joy. You see, there's a quantum law, and I think this is very important, is that nothing in the universe moves with spending more energy than needed.
Mm.
We as human beings can force ourselves to success. We chase success. We become very disciplined in chasing success. Me, not so. I just dream what I want. And then I allow the universe to bring the right people on my path. So for example, I'm making now a new app for how to create
Mhm.
your visions in quantum. And I knew about this app that I want to make it, but okay, I got this idea. I know it needs to come. And then I meet a person, I start a conversation, and this person is making the app. It's the best person I could meet to do the app. But I've done zero effort to meet this person. Do you understand? And
Yeah.
that's what we need to learn in quantum, to trust, to know if I send out a message that the universe listens, the universe gets it. I don't have to send it 100 times. They're not stupid. They get it right away. And now it's up to me to be ready for the consequences of my request, because some people ask something that's too big for them and they're not ready. So you need to also be ready. You need to
Yeah.
prepare yourself. The biggest training is in preparing you for the biggest success you can handle.
Mhm.
And once you understand that, life will never be the
Yeah.
same.
You also mentioned self-sabotage, and I think also one thing is, let's say, with regards to money, if you have a kind of lock, upper money lock, that means you cannot earn more than so much money.
Yeah.
You have a kind of money block, and if such a thing is installed, it's also hard to receive more. Can you tell a little bit more how you can recognize this block and
Uh,
to dissolve it?
Absolutely. Number one, people have a lot of false beliefs. And the biggest belief that people have is about worthiness, about
Mhm.
value. You see, nobody is worthy of nothing. Everybody is worthy of everything. You see, so we need to understand there is no one in the universe that decides what you may have and not may have. You're the only one deciding that. So the whole training of your mind is to expand your mind until you become unlimited, where you truly believe that anything your heart desires is yours. There's nothing on this planet that my heart can desire that I cannot manifest. The only control I don't have is the speed of manifestation. But so any heart's desire, your head is crazy. So your head can come up with crazy stuff that's impossible. But when you listen to your heart and you ask your heart, what is it truly that makes me happy? What is it? And it's never about how much money. It is about the life you want to live. And if you can imagine that life, if you can start dreaming that life, what happens is that you're having an experience inside that will change your way of seeing yourself. You see, when I go to the future and I see what's possible and I start dreaming about this future, the only thing I need to do is to become that person that lives that dream. And I don't worry about how much money it requires to live the dream, because if you're living in the dream, you have that money. You see, so we don't need to worry. We don't need to be afraid of a future that we create, because we are creating a future that we want. So how can I be afraid of my future? You see what I'm saying? So in my life, the future comes step by step, and there's nothing I have to do otherwise than be prepared to be that person living in the future. And so all these blocks that we receive are all old programming that we get from our parents. We get it in school. We are trained by teachers who understand nothing about life. The teachers are frustrated themselves, who are not passionate. They're teaching our children. It is horrible what we do to our children. One of my future dreams is to create a new school where kids, we have to fight with the kids to bring them home. They want to be in the school because the school is so much fun to be in, and they will learn everything they need to learn. But there's a quantum way how we can do it, make it pleasurable. So we go to boarding schools, we learn boring stuff that does not teach us anything about life. And so part of our training is, again, to teach people, who are you? And there's nothing good or bad, because each experience, each journey is created with a purpose. So if you're born with certain, let's say, parents with certain beliefs, you adopt these beliefs until you discover these are not your beliefs. These are adopted beliefs from someone else. My father had very strong beliefs about money. He only believed the only way to study hard and to work hard to make money. That was his life. And he was very successful in that. And I followed that path for a long time, until 10 years ago, when we discovered this new quantum science, that we discovered, hey, you don't have to work hard. Actually, working hard is not good. But you see, I work, for some people, it seems like I work hard, but I don't. It's my passion. I get energy from what I do, and I forget time. I mean, if I was not married, I would be probably doing my passion all day, all night. So you see what I'm saying? But it's finding the balance between your passion, the things you love, and life, your family, your partners, your friends, and that balance is the most important thing, because when you go back home, you're going to look back at your life with a smile. That's the only purpose, that you can say, wow, I lived, and because I lived, I could make a difference. It's not about having a big mission. It's about being you and making a difference in the people's lives that you touch. That's all what life is all about. It's easy, it's simple.
Amazing, amazing. Yes, and also what we should learn, that we are the creators of our life. We are not created
Yes.
from someone outside.
Yeah.
And what I experienced, that it is so important that you have control over your thoughts. So if you think negatively every day, you will manifest something negative, and that could really be a danger. So once you realize that you're negative, you should switch it and ask yourself, what do you want to manifest instead?
Absolutely. I think that's one of the most important things that we can learn in life, is to look at our thoughts in an objective way, and ask yourself, why am I thinking these thoughts? Because these are not your thoughts. These are echoes of the past, things that
Mhm.
have been said to you, the meaning you give to life in the past. So we are recycling old thoughts. People are recycling 95% the same bullshit over
Yeah.
and over and over. And so the step one is to become aware, and it is always helps to say, this is not my thoughts, this is an echo of the past, and ask myself, what do I want to think, right? So let's say if I have a conflict with Joy, I still hear an old echo from, yeah, they're always doing this and doing that, but and this is stuff, and as I'm looking at this stuff, this is not me, right? And once you discover that, you just delete it. And then you say, well, this is the woman I love. She's very powerful and strong. She has a strong will. How do we find a way to do this together? It's a different question.
Mhm.
And you don't run around being angry and then, shut down for days and stuff like that. But it's training. I see it as training. I tell people life is a workshop, right? It's something you are in a workshop every day. But the number one rule to become the best you can be is to be able to observe your behavior and your thinking. Once you can observe the two, you can change it, because that's the power of free will. You are not the one who are being taught. You have to decide, what is it that I want to think? Well, how is it that I want to feel? And once you take that control, life becomes totally different.
Oh, that's amazing. Uh, Another question regarding the QESP course. There is one topic called timeline jumping.
Mhm.
Can you please explain this concept a little bit more?
Okay, so what was fascinating when we started with the channeling is that the first couple of years we were just asking questions. And let me tell you a story. Once we were talking to Jesus,
Mhm.
and we said, how is it possible that there's so many people, when you do past life regression, have memories of being an apostle? So it will be possible that, for example, I can do a regression therapy with hundreds of clients, and then I discover two or three clients are saying they were with Jesus. And I didn't understand that. So I was then thinking, maybe these people were fantasizing this. They
Mhm.
wanted to be
Yeah.
maybe Paul or who knows which apostle. And then Jesus explained, and he explained it in a very beautiful way. He said, in there are different parallel timelines, but in these timelines we have what's called pillars. Pillars are things that are always the same in the timeline. So Jesus was a pillar, Buddha was a pillar, Leonardo da Vinci was a pillar. These are in all timelines you find these famous people like Julius Caesar. But in the infinite amount of parallel timelines, you can have that people will be playing a role.
Mhm.
So the Julius Caesar consciousness is one consciousness, but the people around him are having all experiences with Julius Caesar or with Jesus. And so that's how Jesus explains. So my next question to him was, why is this? And then he said, well, you have to understand how God really functions. God is the knowledge of everything, but the knowledge wants to experience everything. All variations of life into the details needs to be experienced. And that's why we create infinite possibilities in the same timeline. So that's one thing. Now, knowing that, new possibilities are opening up, because now you have to understand, if I know that there's a timeline where I'm the most happy, where I have the best life, where I give back the most, where I can say I'm the happiest and I'm making the biggest impact. And that's a different timeline than where I am right now. We have different techniques where we do several things. Number one, we call it the name used for that's called quantum jumping. So in your imagination, you go through a portal and now you go to the other timeline. And you have three phases there. Number one, observing. So when I observed myself on my ideal timeline, at the timeline that I said, this is the life I want to live, I discovered very quickly one thing is that my other self, which we call the quantum self, the ideal best version of ourselves, did not have hair. You see, I have normal hair, but my quantum self was shaving himself. So that was easy. So I started shaving my head since then. And for the last 3 years, I've been doing that because that's what my quantum self looks like with no hair. So that was the easy part. Then the second part was that I discovered that my quantum self was a Zen master. There was nothing that can disturb his energy. Nothing can disturb his emotional power. He was always he had only two states of mind: love or neutral. And neutral is to receive information. You know, when you're in a meeting, you go into neutral, you receive information. So I've been training myself to become like him, to really be observe myself, how I react, and to have my two stances: neutral to receive information, and when I'm not neutral, I myself loving, happy, and so on. And very play, he was very playful also. And the third part is becoming one. We call that the merging process.
Mhm.
And we also call it downloading those qualities inside of us that we see in the other. So I'm constantly downloading all the qualities of my quantum self in me, and then I am observing how in time that these qualities are, how do you say, are developing themselves.
Mhm.
That if I compare myself now with 3 years ago, I'm not the same person anymore. I'm much calmer. I'm much more in my power. There's nothing really that can disturb me. I've not found anything yet, except my wife Joy can sometimes find things that still I get still get into my, but always that's a lesson. So
Mhm.
when that happens, for me it's a blessing, because I know, okay, I'm triggered now, and I'm not blaming her. I'm saying, okay, there's still something in me that needs healing, and then I can go do the healing, and then everything is okay. You see? So, and what's beautiful to discover, that every time I heal myself, my heart opens up more. I experience more love than before. And that's the secret of relationships, that the relationship gives you the opportunity to discover more about love. And by keep opening your heart, removing any trauma, you just will experience more and more love. That's all there is.
Amazing, amazing.
Mhm.
So, if you like to become a channeler and to channel extrasensory information, I can absolutely recommend this course, Quantum Extrasensory Perception, or QESP, how it is abbreviated. The course is a step by step course, and you will be guided day by day with a lesson which is about half an hour, so it's not so time consuming, and you will have the progress step by step. And the course is actually available in English and Dutch, and also in February it will be distributed in German. But if you buy the course now in English, you will receive it parallel in Dutch, and once it's released in German, you will also receive the German language. So there's no need to wait some more months. Now is the right, if you're interested in it, now is the right time to start with it. The earlier you start, the earlier you get the results.
Absolutely.
And I have
Perfect.
one question, Roy. I have the link to the course in the show notes and also below the podcast. So, why is the course so cheap? Because it's a 100-day course with so much valuable information which changes whole lives. I think it's really, really a cheap course.
Yeah, it is, and we have even now people can choose. If they don't trust the course, they can start the first 6 weeks just for 99 euros.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so then the course, we at this point the price is, let's say, 300 euros for it, and you must imagine 100. Actually, right now we have a bonus of 14 extra days.
Mhm.
In those, you get every day a work video. It's a practical video, and then you get also every week a theory video. So we want people to be very knowledgeable about channeling, and they can then, because they must be able to answer all the questions. Now, the reason it is so cheap is that the goal was never for the money. The goal is that this course was created in let's say, assignment of Nikola Tesla.
Mhm.
Nikola Tesla came to me in a guided meditation, and he said, "I'm looking for people to bring my inventions back to the world." And he said, "Some people that I can use will not have enough money for the course." So we
Mhm.
always also, if a person said, "I cannot pay to whatever 299," they can always send us an email. We'll find a solution, because on the other side, they want these people also to get a chance. And also, the other side of this is that people are struggling with money, when they learn channeling, they can solve that problem. You see, so in our way, it is a way that we are asked to do it, but we love it because now there's no excuse for anyone to say, oh no, I mean, I could have easily asked 1,000 euros for this course and people would pay for it, and there would be not a problem. But that's not the intention. The intention is to get as many people possible. And the reason is this, and I want you to understand very clearly, Simplons, is that the reason is that the more people we can get to raise their frequencies, the more people we can get that can connect with the wisdom of the five dimension, with the true love, with all these masters, the more people in this what this planet needs right now. This planet is in pure darkness. This planet, at this point, we are at the verge of collapsing by darkness. They're taking the powers. It is no democracy anymore. We are living now in a dictatorship, and we need people now to connect to the light, to raise the frequencies. We need people to understand that the new children coming on this planet needs to be protected. They need to know who they are, and we can only do that if we know who we are. And so for us, this is a big mission to awaken as many people as possible. And of course, there are many teachers who do many things, and you can follow 100 spiritual workshops, but nothing is as powerful to be able to connect to your highest self, to be able to connect to your true wisdom. There's not one guru on this planet that can give you that. This is something that with 100 days of training, you own it. You don't need a guru. You have found your inner guru. And what is more beautiful than to be guided by your own guru? I mean, of course, there are masters I would love to learn from them, but all the information I need is available to me at any given time, any moment. So, and I'm so happy that people like you, who are not only in this because you say, oh, maybe you can make a little bit extra money, but that you're testing it for yourself and you're coming from your truth. And I think that's the only way for us to move forward, that all of us needs to come from our truth, from our heart. And remember, the truth for you can be a little different than the truth for me, because everybody has another piece of the puzzle, and nobody has all parts of the puzzle, but the puzzle pieces that we need for our life are now available by channeling.
Yeah, and really worldwide. So everybody can do it all over the world where he
Yes.
is. And soon in 3 languages, English and Dutch is also available. So if you're interested, just check the link. And it's really amazing what all factors can change in the life. Nearly everything that is not going well or struggling can change exactly into the opposite. And that's really,
Absolutely.
really amazing, that work.
Yeah, and I just as closing statement, I would like people to understand just one thing. You know, when we come to this planet, you know, we suffer from one thing, is amnesia. We forget who we are. That is part of the plan. It is like we are immortal, eternal beings who come blindfolded to this planet to play a game. It's a game we're playing, right? It is that, and we say it's about learning. Actually, the biggest part of the game is unlearning, not learning. There's nothing you need to learn, but there's a lot you need to unlearn, right? And so there are many ways to that, and I honor each and every one who is making a contribution to awaken other people, and I am fan of many teachers and all of that. But the only thing I can say is that with all the things I've done in my life, and it's a lot, I've studied so much, it's incredible, is this is the first time that I discovered something and sharing something together with my wife that I truly believe is the masterwork of my life. This is my masterpiece. And I'm not saying I did it alone. Of course, we got the help from the other side. We got the help of Joy. But if I'm truly proud, and I created incredible, powerful teachings and training, this is my masterpiece. This is something that I will say it will be good 10 years from now, because the bases are so good. And the second thing I will say, there's nothing on this planet that comes close. There are many channeling trainings, they're all great, but the way we constructed this with the help of the other side is unique. And I would offer everybody a chance. My dream is for young people to do this training. The younger, the better. If I look at my daughter, she's 12 years old and she can channel. I mean, how great a gift is it to have your children to be connected to their wisdom? They're still children. They still do all the things children are, but we can have conversations on a super high level with her because she's connected with her true self. And for me, that's a gift that I want parents also to be able to give to their children. Do it
Mhm.
together with your kids, do it together with your partner, and with your friends, if you have friends, study together, maybe buy one training and share it with each other, train with each other, because the more people do it, the better for all of us and the better for this planet. And we need you to be connected, we need you to be wise, we need you to see through the darkness and to keep the hope high that we will change this into a better planet where all of us can have a better life. That's my message to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much, dear Roy, for this interview. And also to the listeners for listening. I would appreciate if you like, you can rate my podcast on the podcast services or give me a thumbs up on YouTube. This will help me. And yeah, Roy, any final word to our listeners?
Yes, at the final word is something very simple, that every day begin with a clear intention. And the intention that I would advise you to set is that every day you begin the day visualizing who you can be, to how loving you can be, how kind you can be, how many people you can touch with your heart. If you would just start every day with that vision of wanting to touch people's heart, to want to stay in your heart, to promise yourself, no matter what shit they throw at you, that you're going to stay connected to your love, then that's a huge step for everyone. That's my final message
Thank
to
you.
everyone.
Thank you, Roy.
My
Okay,
pleasure.
we are at the end of our podcast. We wish you a great evening and say goodbye. Bye bye.
Thank you for the opportunity and thank you for listening. Bye bye.